Hello and welcome to our video on prenatal disability screening. I am Jake.
I'm Aleksa.
And I'm Sibel.
In order to preface the issue of prenatal disability screening, we want to introduce the story of Sharon and Candy. Now, Sharon and Candy were a deaf couple who were seeking to have a deaf baby themselves. Now, while they acknowledged that a healthy baby would be a blessing, they specifically expressed that having a deaf baby would be a special blessing. Now, they could not acquire a deaf sperm sample from a regular sperm bank, as sperm banks often do not accept sperm donors with such disabilities. So in order to acquire the sample that they needed, they asked a friend who did oblige and provided them with a deaf sperm sample.
So this raises the question of, should parents get prenatal screenings? A study done by Garcia, Timmermans, and Van Leeuwen in 2011 kind of investigated why women got prenatal screenings, or thought they would get prenatal screenings. And what they came up with was that there were two underlying views. One, that nature shouldn't be changed or totally controlled, and you should just kind of let things be. And two, that nature should be helped, because things can always be improved. This kind of raises the question of, should children be taken as unconditional gifts, or should they be taken, or should disability totally disabling? You couldn't have a happy life. They then broke this down into 6 subcategories. 3 for nature's got this, and 3 for the other point of view. The 3 in favor of letting nature take control was, the first was fate and destiny. You should take things as they are, because parents get the children that they deserve. The second one was that nature knows best, and that you should learn from fate, because there's meaning in everything. The third one was that disability is part of life, and you don't want a perfect world. So then the 3 subcategories that were found in favor of helping nature to improve, using prenatal screenings to improve the health of the fetus, was that you want to keep the fetus healthy because women have a duty to get prenatal care. The second one was that you should test the fetus to make sure that there aren't really any severe disabilities, and if there are, you can control for them, which leads into the next one, which is the line between desirable and undesirable characteristics. This is the one that gets, I think, the most attention, because this is where people kind of decide in the best interest of the child. And I'm going to read you a quote from one of the participants that kind of encompasses the issue. For me, this is a very difficult issue. I've once been in an institution for disabled children. There were children who were lying down all day. They couldn't walk or sit. They couldn't even talk. If you could know that beforehand. This is the point. Such a child has no life. I think you must make a choice thinking of the child. Well, it's not good if parents can choose between a boy and a girl. This is not normal. But it is good if it is possible to find out about very severe disabilities in the best interest of the child.
Okay, so then another article was also looking at women's perceptions of disability in infants, and this article sort of presented it as, quote, a Sophie's choice for pregnant women that each of them has to face. First of all, should you screen or not? And second of all, if you do and an abnormality is detected, what are you supposed to do then? So addressing the first point, there are a lot of pros to prenatal screening. Through it, we can reduce human suffering. If, as Sibel pointed out, a child is going to have a life where they can't really do anything at all. If they have such a severe disability, then you can reduce human suffering in that way. Furthermore, you can save money to the parent, or if you are living in sort of a welfare state, then to the state. Also, if you detect an operable condition, then you can start treatments early and maybe give a more good life to the child after it's born. However, there's a lot of pressure on the expectant mother to screen. If women don't screen prenatally, then they often feel as though there's a perception that they're responsible for any future health issues that their baby faces because they could have known and they didn't take that opportunity. Furthermore, they often have to make this decision in a very short amount of time. You may not get the results of a screening until you're already 5.5 months pregnant, which is very close to the 3rd trimester. So, some of the repercussions of screening if you detect an abnormality. If you choose to continue the pregnancy, you have to decide on who the primary caretaker is going to be, which could involve an entire career refocusing for that person, and depending on the severity of the disability. Furthermore, as I said earlier, it's also a strong financial commitment, again, depending on the severity. Whether or not you're going to be able to handle that. Furthermore, women also feel pressured. They feel as though people are accusing them of being irresponsible for bringing a disabled child to term. If the pregnancy is aborted, about 80% of women reported acute grief reactions to that, especially if the abortion happened later in the pregnancy when they'd already maybe told people about the pregnancy. It often resulted in marital turmoil as well, and also guilt and mental health problems for the mother. When raising children with disabilities, it's important to remember that something that's viewed as a disability in one culture may not be viewed as such in another culture. For example, the Sharon and Candy story that Jake was talking about earlier, many typically hearing people would consider deafness to be a disability. However, they viewed it as an important sort of central rallying point of their family and their culture that they wanted their child to be able to partake in. So perhaps the goal shouldn't be to rid the world of disability entirely, but rather to use that diversity in a helpful way.
So in conclusion, prenatal screenings are a difficult moral issue, and there are complicated arguments on each side, whether or not we should help nature out or just let nature run its course. But regardless, it's important to recognize the diversity that disabilities can offer our world. It's also important to note that disability is entirely subjective. A deaf person might not view their condition as being a disability themselves, but they embrace their condition and enjoy the lifestyle that it gives them. And also, as a final point, women take their responsibility over the well-being of their children very seriously, whether they accept or choose to accept or not accept the disability of their child. So, thank you very much for watching our video, and that is the end.